All things in our universe are governed by the rule of natural law. Matter acts on matter through space and time under the limits of the forces that act within our universe. If there is a being, a creator, a God, who has always existed before all things came to exist, and who created all things, and this would include even the darkness, then any concept, belief, or argument that suggests that any manifestations of natural law could ever touch or contain this being would be a nonsensical argument with no defined answer. A mathematical expression is undefined when no matter how you work the problem, the answer has no meaning. Suggesting that God existed before matter, space, and time implies that this being is everlasting. Saying that this being is everlasting implies that death could never reach him. If a creator has the power to bring matter, space, and time into existence, doesn't this mean that God existed before matter and time? If this is true, then how can matter and time overrun into his existence? Death, which is a product of natural law, could never overrun the realm of the God, because matter and time are not necessary factors for God to exist. Of course, this line of reasoning will only hold true if you believe that God, the Creator, exists before matter and time. A birth, a life, and a death are all expressions of the activity of matter under the restrictions of natural law. When applied to a supreme being that is believed to live eternally, such expressions of life and death will have no meaning, because you cannot assign a rational interpretation that will satisfy a valid inquiry, meaning never born, meaning never death, and therefore no life, the results being undefined. For if the Creator failed to exist for 3 days, or 3 nanoseconds, or just 1 picosecond, then such an event would invalidate the core axiom that God exists eternally. Thus, matter would have overcome the very being that created it, another mathematical expression where you cannot assign a rational interpretation that will satisfy a valid inquiry. You do know what any number divided by 0 equals. How can one argue that a God in man sacrificed his life to atone for the sinful nature of mankind when in truth the God has no life to sacrifice? Why won't you use your brain? Do you fear the responsibility that comes with the freedom of intellect? I strongly encourage those persons who carry the burdens of myth to revisit their religious scriptures and using common sense and reason. Look for more rational and practical meanings that are hidden in the language of your religious texts. By removing the burden of myth and correcting irrational thinking when reading religious scriptures, racism and artificial nationalism over time can be diminished.